attending. We've had a very long and tiring and trying 17 hours since last night. We're left at 10 o'clock. Before I get into the details, Mayor Randy Roach would like to come up and say a few words. Mayor.
Thank you, Don, and again, thanks to our partners in the media who are here with us this afternoon. As Don mentioned, today is a sad day for our community. We have to announce and discuss two homicides that have been a span of about 18 hours. Last night, Chief Dixon gave me a call. I guess it was a little bit after 10. And generally, when you get a call like that, I know it's not a good situation. He was on his way to the scene of the first homicide, and then spoke early this morning. He told me about the second situation. So, needless to say, this is something that we all share in the grief and the situation as far as the families that are affected by this are concerned. Our hearts go out to the families. This is a tragic situation for them, a tragic situation, as I mentioned earlier, for our community. And also, it's not a good situation for the men and women who work in the departments, where they have to deal with this, and they have to investigate, they have to do crime scene review, they have to deal with all of the other things that result as a consequence of this. And so we appreciate the work that they have to do in these situations. One of the things that I was asked earlier this morning is some folks in the community were talking about what's going on, and of course the question always comes up, why? And I guess it's very difficult for us to look at an illogical act, an act that makes absolutely no sense, and try to make sense out of it. It's just, there's no logical explanation for it. Chief Dixon is going to go over the details. The only other comment that I would add is it seems somewhat ironic in a sense that last Sunday on the lakefront, we participated as a community in the national observance, a national day that was set aside for the families of murder victims. And yet within the span of less than a week, we add 2 families to that list. So the pain of that is not lost. The pain of that is very much with us as we go through this process and as we talk about the details of the facts and the circumstances. Again, there are real people involved, and there are real families involved in the consequences of this. We live with them for a long time, forever. And so the community is with them, and again, our hearts and prayers go out to them.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I want to start off and say how proud I am of this department. We were taxed to the limit. Multiple crime scenes, multiple search warrants, horrific crime scenes, and the men and the women of this department, again, stood up to the test, did an outstanding job. I also want to publicly thank the Calhoun Parish Sheriff's Office for their assistance, the Louisiana State Police, Calhoun Parish District Attorney's Office, and the Coroner's Office for their assistance. Last night, Thursday, September 29th, at approximately 10:11 p.m., Lake Charles Police Department received a call from 2114 Tulip in reference to a disturbance with shots fired. The caller advised the suspect, later identified as Timothy Aaron Dangerfield, had a loaded gun and fired a weapon at family members at the location. Upon officers' arrival, they learned Dangerfield was walking west on Tulip Street. Members of the Lake Charles Police Department had parked on 4th Avenue and was coming down Tulip Street in an easterly direction and approached Dangerfield in a front yard of a house. He threatened the officers with a weapon, with a gun, and officers instructed him to drop it, but he would not comply, and officers engaged a weapon and struck Mr. Dangerfield several times. Despite being shot, he went onto the ground, was on his belly, would not show his hands. Another officer came up, one of our SWAT officers who was on a separate detail, had to tase him, and even then, as he rolled over, he still was in possession of knives and a handgun. I was contacted at home. I was advised that the officers were safe. I immediately called the state police and asked them to come and investigate the officer-involved shooting involving the Lake Charles police officers, in which they responded immediately, and I can't thank them enough. During the course of this investigation, and we knew we had family members that had been assaulted, we were also advised that there may be a possible deceased person at a separate address in General Patton St. Upon investigating the suspicious nature, we determined we had a deceased female inside 2709 General Patton, in which the subject, Mr. Dangerfield, resides. The ensuing investigation determined that Dangerfield is a suspect in this investigation, and as a matter of fact, we have obtained a second-degree murder warrant from Judge Kennedy with $1 million bond. Also pending are 5 counts of attempted second-degree murder, aggravated battery, and simple battery. Prior to us arriving, Mr. Dangerfield had assaulted both his mother and his sister with his fist and attempted to fire a weapon. Unfortunately, we believe that he was out of ammunition. In addition to that, we had a vehicle pull up with 4 passengers, in which he also attempted to shoot the 4 passengers in a vehicle. Mr. Dangerfield has been hospitalized. He has multiple injuries, including self-inflicted injuries, which were very, very serious. At this point in time, we believe he is going to survive, and investigations continue. The victim in this case is Shacerista Jones, age 22. We believe that she had multiple modes of injury pending an autopsy to determine the actual cause of death. Multiple modes would be including blunt trauma, a sharp cutting edge, and a handgun. Again, I can't thank Louisiana State Police enough for coming in and handling the officer-involved shooting investigation, which is currently underway. And the Calhoun Parish Sheriff's Office is coming out to do the crime scene at that location, and we handle the crime scene at all other locations. Of course, the District Attorney's Office came out, and the Coroner's Office. That is all I have on the first homicide, and I will entertain questions. Obviously, this is a pending investigation, and I have to be very careful as to what I say. Yes?
How many times was Mr. Dangerfield shot, and was he only shot by one officer? And if you could tell us what parts of the body?
All I can tell you is that there were 2 officers involved in the shooting. He was hit multiple times, basically in the stomach area and lower torso.
Do you know how many shots were fired?
I'd rather not say at this time.
Is it true that the self-inflicted was it a stab wound?
Self-inflicted wounds appear to be from sharp instrument.
Do you have any idea what may have been the motivation for what he did?
Who knows what evils lurk in that mind? I can't tell you. We have encountered Mr. Dangerfield in the past. As a matter of fact, last August, we received a call to the same area, General Patton area, shots fired from a shotgun. Mr. Dangerfield was identified as a suspect, had removed his clothing. We discovered Mr. Dangerfield in a wooded area about a half a mile away, totally nude. I think 4 officers had to fight him. We ended up having to take him to Lake Charles Memorial for observation because of his mental state. We believed him to be on PCP, which is wet, smoking PCP, and so we have encountered him before. And obviously, if he's under the influence of any type of drug, particularly PCP, there's going to be bad things that will happen. All right. We'll continue now to the second homicide. And the first homicide is being investigated by Detective Licia McCullough and Greg Single. The second homicide is being investigated by Detective Kevin Kirkham and Detective Kevin Thomas. At 6:23 a.m. this morning, we received a call from 1313 West Jefferson Drive from a husband who called in initially possible missing persons, including his wife and nephew, had a vehicle missing. Lake Charles police officers responded. Officer Clay Fontenot, in his initial sweep of the residence, discovered a 4-year-old child hiding under some covers. In the second sweep of the residence, we discovered a female in the bathroom that was deceased. The female is identified as Susan Janice Doise, age 40 years old, of 1313 West Jefferson Drive. It appears initially that she has died from a gunshot wound, pending an autopsy result. The victim's Tahoe and a nephew were missing. We put out a BOLO alert to be on the lookout for over the computer. And at approximately 8:20 this morning, deputies with the Calcasieu Parish Sheriff's Office discovered this vehicle in the area of Corbina and Goche Road. At that point in time, we dispatched some officers. We were trying to get a canine tracking unit. In the meantime, these CPSO deputies discovered the suspect who was hiding in a shed behind a house in that immediate area. The suspect was taken to the Lake Charles Police Department. The suspect is identified as Jeffery Doise, age 17, who is a nephew to the victim. He is under arrest for second-degree murder and is being housed at the Calcasieu Correctional Center. The very sad thing is we believe that the 4-year-old who was discovered this morning by Officer Fontenot was probably in that house with his dead mother from approximately 8:30 last night until 6:30 this morning. Our sympathies go out to the Doise family, to the Jones family. I was at both locations. I was there when the mother discovered the identity of her daughter at the location on General Patton. I can't tell you how heart-wrenching that is to see a mother informed that her daughter has been murdered. The crime scene at General Patton was horrific. One of the worst that we've heard of since I've been chief in 10 years. I think the actual crime scene investigation took over 10 hours, extremely trying conditions, and again, as I said, it appears to be multiple modes of injury to the victim. And I can't tell you what a great job they did, and then turn around and go to another crime scene. Again, I'm very proud of this department and the work they did, continue to do. It's a very sad day to have to announce this to the community, but it's also a very proud day. I think the whole community should be proud of the effort done by a combined law enforcement effort. And if you have any questions concerning this case, again, I have to be very circumspect in what I say, but I will entertain it this time.
The young man who was involved in the shooting on West Jefferson, any idea why he may have been so troubled as to allegedly do something like that?
I would rather not comment on that. He is a nephew that was taken in. We understand he has been living there for some time and has had some trouble past. The specifics of that I don't know. He just turned 17 this month, so obviously anything prior to that would be juvenile. And I don't have access to any information on that. It's a terrible tragedy. You cannot put logic to an illogical act. That's the best I can tell you. Was he a student, and if so, where? He is a student. I'd rather not say what school at this time, but he is a student in a high school. Did you recover a weapon? We have recovered a weapon. In both cases? In both cases. Any thoughts on, it just seems as though the last few months, if not the last couple of years, have been so incredibly violent in this community. You know, any thoughts on your perspective as police chief, and what would you like to see the community do perhaps to try to address this? Well, obviously, this is our 5th and 6th homicide this year. So we average about 8 or 9 homicides a year, so we're right on track as far as, but they seem to be more violent, or I don't know how homicide can be more violent, but more senseless. And I don't have an answer for that. We certainly suspect that drugs are involved in one of them. I don't know about the second one. We've had a variety of homicides this year, some domestic, some were gang related. You know, I think our society is getting very complex, and the more complex it gets, the more strain it puts on people. If I had the true answer, you know, I wouldn't be here, I'd be somewhere else. I don't know the true answer. Each case is different. If there was a pattern, or we had a pattern of gang behavior where we could actually go out and be proactive about it, that'd be one thing, but it's not. They're all separate, they're all different. Every one of them have been non-related this year. And, you know, although last year our overall crime was down 14%, 2010 compared to 2009, we've just, today will be the end of our third quarter of this year. We'll do a comparison compared to the first 3 quarters of last year, and probably do that next week and see where we're going this year. I believe the last time I checked, we're even down this year compared to last year. Is that right, Gordon? And you know, if we're down this year in overall crime compared to 14% drop the year before, I mean, it shows that we're doing something right. And we have a very good ComStat system. We have a very good proactive system. We review all our crimes in Lake Charles on a weekly basis. And when we see a hot spot, or we see a problem area, we go out and we be proactive. And we have proactive details. And it's been very successful. And, but, you know, some crimes like this, some crimes like rape, you just can't predict them. You can't go out and be proactive on crimes of passion. And obviously, the crimes we had last night appear to be spontaneous, to the best of our knowledge. But again, we're still investigating. Any other questions? Again, our sympathy goes out to the Doise and the Jones family. I can't imagine what they're going through. I can't even imagine. And our hearts and prayers are with them. Thank you very much.